Happy Monday. Or is it happy? All I hear about on the news is you're going to hear gas prices are going to hit an all-time high. It's going to be the national average of $4.11. Could go up 10 cents in the next week. I'm thinking 10 cents in the next week. How much has it gone up in the last week? It's already over $4 a gallon everywhere. I don't know, some places it's ridiculous. Probably over $5 a gallon. And why is that? Oh, it's because of Russia and Ukraine. Wrong. Because now we have a president who's coming out and saying that, well, maybe we need to find some alternative sources of our fuel rather than getting it from Russia. Well, no kidding. If you're going to go to war with Russia by proxy, why the hell are you buying their oil? Makes no sense. If you're going to give them sanctions and cut them off and not give them access to any kind of monetary transactions, why would you buy their oil? Makes no sense to me. Cut it off. But instead of looking inward, instead of looking at home for the resources, which we have plenty, by the way, plenty of oil in the ground, plenty of natural gas in the ground, instead of doing that, no, we're going to have talks with Maduro, who we've called a dictator in Venezuela, and see if, he can make up for the shortfall of the oil that we wouldn't be getting from Russia. You see, this is how the United States works. I don't care what you think. It is a mafia organization. The United States is a mafia organization. It's a big crime family. And the arms, the tentacles of it go all over the world. And you want to know what the problem in Ukraine is? Go back and do a little research. See what happened in 2014. Since then, there have been issues. It's been right in the center of the West. Well, it's West on this side, whatever you're looking at in the screen. It's been in the center of the West, U.S. and NATO, and Russia. Traditionally, it's kind of Russian land. It's a lot of Russian people there. But what has happened is the West, as always, the U.S. and NATO, its puppet, have been breaking deals and breaking promises. And there's a lot of other nefarious things that go through Ukraine you might want to take a look at. You might want to see who those people are. A lot of those people who've been controlling it. You might want to look at Azov. I think it's Azov. Look at that military faction. That little splinter fringe group that is actually part of their military. Very right wing. Doesn't even matter. Right, left, doesn't matter. Very tyrannical, very hateful, very racist. That little group of people causes a lot of problems. Everything you've been told about what's going on, everything you see on the mainstream is a lie. And I mean everything. You got to look outside. You got to look for sources that aren't promoted. Let's just say that. I watched a good little piece by Jimmy Dore, D-O-R-E. It looks like Dore or Dory. Jimmy Dore, D-O-R-E. Go follow him on Twitter, maybe Twitter, but YouTube. Go check out his YouTube channel. He's been putting out some pretty good videos. And just trying to answer questions. Hey, what's going on? Putin says there's Nazis, neo-Nazis in the Ukraine. Is he crazy? Is there any truth to this? So he goes and looks into it. Might find a little truth there if you start digging. Interesting. It's important to do your own research. Don't jump on the bandwagon and don't let them tug on your heartstrings. And that's typically what they do. They want a knee-jerk reaction out of you. Step back, assess the situation, find as many resources as you can, and then maybe the picture will start to become a little bit clearer. Because right now, the way the hype is, the way the emotional ploys are at this point, it just makes me think something's not right. Makes me think that, you know what? Why are they pushing it on us? That's how I feel. I feel like I'm being pushed into something. And whenever I feel like I'm pushed into something, I'm not going to go that way. I'm just not. By nature, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. You tell me what to do, not going to do it. I'd make a bad soldier. I'd make a horrible soldier. Because I just don't follow orders. Because I think for myself. I have critical thinking. And I have a natural distrust of people in charge. What's wrong with that? You should question everything your government does. You should question everything your leaders do. I mean, I just watched a documentary on the modeling world, and what was it, the dark side of the 90s on Vice. And they were talking about the modeling world, and some of these big what do you call them, big fashion guys, and how they're manipulating these young girls, using their power to basically do whatever they want to these girls, sometimes drugging them and having their way with them. They're untouchable. See, they're in these positions of power, and these girls feel like there's nothing they can do to stop these guys. They're powerful. This is their world. I mean, I'll never make it if I don't go along. It's always important to question those people in power who have control, because when they have control, they can do things that probably aren't in the best interest of free people. You got to have a natural distrust. You should have a natural distrust of leadership, of authority. I mean, why do they need to have authority? Why do they need to wield their power if what they're doing is just? It should be obvious to all. So anytime someone presses too hard or tries to make someone do something that, maybe they don't want to do, it gives me pause. I step back and I think, okay, there's an agenda. What's the agenda? Who's benefiting? That's the same thing you got to look at here. And it's not just Ukraine. It's not just the pandemic, the masking, and the pricks in the arm. It's all the other things. It's everything. Every time you're taught something or tried to be conditioned to learn something, question it. Does it feel right? Does it feel right? Does your spidey sense say it feels okay? Last night on Coast to Coast AM, I woke up in the middle of the night last night. It was like 3:30 a.m. I woke up, and on Coast to Coast AM, and I don't even remember the lady's name. I got to look it up today. It was, I think, like internalguidancesystem.com. I think that's what it was. I think that was the name of her website, internalguidancesystem.com. And I woke up and I thought, I'm glad I woke up and heard this, because she was talking about how you are born, and I believe this. I mean, you're born with this guidance system. That's what she calls it, modern day terminology, internal guidance system inside of you that basically will, if you just stop thinking about things, and if you just kind of let go and you allow it to guide you, it will. And it will guide you down the right path and make the right decisions for you. Now, you can call that your soul. You can call that connected to God. You can, or the eternal. You can call it whatever you want. And a lot of people say, give it to God. That's it. Give it to God and everything will be okay. Jesus, take the wheel. That kind of thing. and there's truth to that, I think, because you are just tapping into the source because you're part of the source. You are infinite. We are infinite. Our souls are a substance that goes on forever. And we have that ability within us, but I think what happens is we just get all these layers and layers and layers. I always refer to it as an onion. There's a core of the onion. That onion makes you cry. It's very emotional at the core. But there's layers and layers and layers and layers on top of it. But to get to that point where it hits you, you're at the core of it. You got to strip back these layers, and then you get to the raw onion. It's the same with the body, the person. I think we've got all these layers and layers, and I mean, you think about all the layers of chemicals, all the layers of genetically modified corn, all the layers of high fructose corn syrup that's genetically modified, all the bad stuff, the fluoride in the water, all these things that are heaped up in our cells and our flesh and in layers upon layers within us that are blocking and just suppressing who we are, suppressing that purity of thought, not even thought, that purity of just experience, being alive. I think it's blocked. And her concept was interesting to me. It was just, I think, just putting a different label on the same thing that we innately know. And people who live close to the land and close to nature, animals the same way, when they're not affected by outside forces of technology and entrainment, I think, it's you live freely, instinctively, and, in that natural state. You can call it what you want, but it's there. It definitely is. And I use this example. I was on Twitter Spaces on Friday night, and I don't know, I had a little bit to drink and, I tend to ramble a little bit. But my point was, I have been on a cleanse, a fast for, man, I said 20 days without food. I think it was longer than that. Man, I can't remember how long it was. It was at least 20 days where I didn't eat. Ate nothing. Just had liquid. And it was the Stanley Burroughs cleanse at the time. And really all I had, I think the recipe for it is you have water mixed with cayenne pepper, lemon juice, and grade B maple syrup. So you get a little bit of sugar and some minerals. And that's it. Ate that. That's all I had for 20 days. That was it. And what that does to you, it resets your body to more of a natural state, a more pure state. And my point was, I could smell things, I could see better. My color looked better, my eyes, everything. It stripped away a lot of the bad stuff. And it wasn't just about losing weight. No, it was a reset. It was like a spiritual thing. And it's just, you're just reconnecting how you're born, innocent in a lot of ways, just pure. So, I don't smell skunk very well. I hardly ever smell it. People, hey, there's a skunk. I don't smell it. But, on that cleanse, holy cow, I could smell it. My senses, and all that comes back. Because you're peeling away those layers of just that gunk. The gunk that we've absorbed in us. And it's the same with the media. That's all that gunk. That's all the garbage that is put in your face and you can't see through it. Because, there's just pile more and more and more in front of it. And pretty soon you can't. The truth's over there, but I can't see it. I got all this stuff in the way. All this gunk. Clouding my eyes. It's St. Patty's Day is coming up. Speaking of St. Patty's Day, I got to talk about that. But yeah, we just, at some point, we have to wake up. And what that means is reawaken to who we are, who we were born to be, who we came here, what we came here to do. It's not hard to do. We just have to do it. You go on I did that 9-day cleanse with Bix Weir and Amy Weir back in 2019. I know they usually do a 21-day one. It was really easy. You just eat raw foods for 3 days. Raw foods, nothing cooked, processed, raw foods. That's it. Raw vegetables, raw nuts, all that stuff. And then you do, I think, 3 days of smoothies, just raw food, raw fruits and vegetables. And then 3 days of juicing, I think, was the last thing you did. You just juice it. In doing that, and I modified a little bit. I don't think I really did the smoothie thing. I think I just did the raw food and the juicing. I dropped a lot of weight. I felt so much better. Just, stuffiness sometimes you walk around, it just goes away. Nasal passages are clear. Just felt so much better. 9 days. That was it. 9 days. And it resets your body. And then when you smell food, it's you really kind of smell it like an animal. You see animals, you put food in front of them and they like sniff it and go, and they won't eat it. Like, why aren't you eating the food? Because it's garbage, because it's some processed stuff. It's probably something from a fast food joint you're trying to give them. They're like, and they smell the poison. That's the way you are, though. You become that way. You sense it and you smell certain foods. And you're just like, oh man, I can't eat that. There are foods now, and I don't even want to talk about, the types of foods, because everybody has their own preference and, they're on their different journey. But there are some foods that I smell now as far from, purity as I am now. I smell them now and I'm just, I don't even want to be near them. It just smells toxic. It just smells bad. Let's put it that way. And that's stuff people eat all the time. But I'll smell it and I'm just, there's no way I won't eat it. I just can't be around it. It stinks. So imagine being in that natural state where you strip all of the madness away and strip all of the things you've been inundated with away, whether it's media, and visual and auditory and the food that you take in, the water that you take in. Imagine being cleansed and how close to really your natural spiritual state, how much closer to that state that you'll become, because you do, and I know that. I've done that. A lot of you have probably done that too. But I think we need to get to that point where we have that internal guidance system again turned on. And we start saying, okay, enough is enough. We're not going to listen to this anymore. We're seeing through all the BS. And there's a lot out there. We need some shovels. Because there's a lot of shoveling that needs to be done. But I just ask that everybody does a little bit of research. Don't just buy what you're being told on these mainstream channels because they're bought and paid for. All the free money that gets printed up goes into these places and they get funded and they make a lot of money to read teleprompters. They don't have anything. They don't write the stories. They're told what to say. They're actors. That's all they are. And so once you realize that, you start questioning things and you start digging a little bit deeper and you look for other sources and then you can compare and realize, okay, well, this one sounds pretty truthful. My internal guidance system is telling me that this is telling me the truth. This resonates. But this over here, but if you have nothing to compare it to, it's easy to continue eating that bad food until you have good food and you're nourished and you realize, wait a minute, that stuff over there stinks. This news stinks. I wanted to get back to March 17th, St. Patty's Day. I will be going to Phoenix, Arizona. Bix Weir has an event on March 19th. Go to his website, roadtoruta.com. Bix Weir. And he's got a Freedom Road show that he's doing. And he's singing, he's talking truth. He is, just talking about crypto, talking about silver, talking about the way it is, and, playing a lot of music. He plays a lot of folk-type music that is necessary in this day, that tells a story. And he tells the story of corruption. And how do we deal with it? And how do we move forward? And it's really a good time every time I go to one of Bix's events. And so I will be there with Litecoin Lisa and Bix Weir and his lovely wife Amy and Paige and Josh, and it'll be a great time. It really will. So check out when that is. There is a cost to this event. I think it's $25 a ticket. Worth it. Completely worth it. Very like-minded people. I mean, I went last year when he was in Phoenix in May. Just great like-minded people coming together. Get to this event if you can. He's got other ones, but Lisa and I will be at this one. This is the only one we'll be at during this leg of the tour. If he comes to the Midwest, well, that's another story. We might hit a few of them. But I can only travel. I can only get on a plane once a year, and this is it. And then last year I did it for Bix. This year I'll do it for Bix. Once a year is about all I can handle. I just don't like doing it. So anyway, March 19th, check that out. And then the following weekend, March 25th, Happy Hour Roadshow. We're back. Lisa and I are going to be in Oklahoma City at a gun club. The details are on my website, clintwestwood.net. Come see us. That's a free event. I mean, you just show up. Now, if you want to shoot guns, whatever they charge you to do that, they got food and such and drinks. You got to pay for that. But there's no charge to get in the door. Just come on down. The price is right. So we're going to be drinking, having a few cocktails, having happy hour. We're going to do our class before happy hour on Friday, I think. I think I'll make sure I put the details on the website for that. But we'll download some wallets and send some Litecoin to you, and that way you got a feel for the basics of how to be your own bank, how to take possession of your wealth and hold money in your own possession, which is especially important right now because you've got the dying American empire trying to, I don't even want to call it the American empire. It's just it's the fake corporate United States. It's dying in its death throes, and it wants to sanction all these countries. Russia's the latest. Venezuela, they did it to Venezuela, and now they want Venezuelan oil. Now they're sanctioning Russia because they don't want Russian oil. They want Venezuelan oil. It's just this big circle, clown show. But, you see what happened in Canada where they froze the accounts of people donating to the truckers. They're going to freeze accounts of anyone who's associated with Russia. I mean, it's the big Russia scare again. Here we are, Cold War II. It's important to be your own bank. Take possession of your wealth. You know, get cryptocurrency, get Litecoin in your own wallet. That's what we're going to teach you to do, March 25th. Check out my website, clintwestwood.net, for all the details where we're going to be. Be your own bank. Got to be your own bank. Take possession of your silver. Take possession. Go to the bank, get some nickels. They're worth 7.6 cents each today. Probably going to be 8 cents by the end of the day, the way it's going. Who knows? A 5-cent piece, a nickel that you can buy. Go to the bank. Buy $2 worth of nickels. It's roll. You walk out, you got over $3 in metal value. Now, you can't melt it down. It's illegal to do that, but you've got the metal. Just like if you had 1964 and before dimes, you got the silver. Now you got the copper, you got the nickel in that nickel. So take possession of your wealth. Nobody else is looking out for you except you. Tune into that internal guidance system. Trust yourself. It's the only thing you can trust. It really is. You know what's right. Just listen to yourself. Get yourself to that point to where you don't have to trust anybody else. You know the answers inside of you. Just allow it to happen. Peel back that onion. Get to the core. All right. I hope you have a wonderful week. Wonderful Monday. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you would. I'd appreciate that. And, if you don't, you don't. I just appreciate you listening. Ultimately, you came here to hear this for a reason. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you spent the time to do it. All right. Have a wonderful day. Love you all. Trust yourself.